Hello, 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 everybody. Welcome to another segment. Yes, you're on the Black Girl Encourager platform, but we are doing our special series entitled The Black Girl Write Her. So I've got another amazing author that I want to introduce to you all. She is a friend of the show. I'm going to go ahead and bring her to the stage. Hey, girl. Hey. How are
Hey,
you today?
I am great. Look where I am. I am excellent.
Yes, yes, yes. So please, Lisette, I know you personally. Introduce yourself again to the people. Let them know who you are, what you've been working on, so that we can kind of speed this party up. Let's get it started.
All right, girl. So, hey, everyone. My name is Lisette Mckenzie. Man, the last time I was on your show, Sheniqua, I think I was in school for clinical mental health counseling. Y'all, I have graduated. I have
Whoop,
tested.
whoop,
I
whoop,
am
whoop, whoop.
professionally licensed. That is done. So I am now a licensed clinical mental health counseling associate. I live in North Carolina. I am the owner of the Broken Crayon Initiative PLLC. I am the author of Making Peace with Broken Pieces. New projects are coming up too, actually. New projects are coming up. I'm looking forward to sharing all of that with you guys. But most importantly, I'm happy to be in front of you again, Shaniqua.
Thank you so much. Now, Lizette is another one of my Stronger Through Faith Media clients. Listen, I can't have no segment called The Black Girl Write Her, where I'm going to be displaying all of the writers and everything out there without pulling some of my clients into the lineup. So, Lizette, I am so honored to have you here. And I actually got your book right here, honey. Baby, this book right here, Making Peace with Broken Pieces, that title alone could preach itself. But where do we want to get started? So let's talk about your writing journey. So tell us, help us, usher us into the mind of Lisette when you were writing this book.
Oh, girl, I don't know. I can't be a therapist to the people. To be in that mind, y'all need some medication. Y'all need some sedation because I don't even know how I did it. It was hard. It was hard. The words that I put on those pages, even to let's backtrack a little bit. When I first started writing, it was not coming out as Making Peace with Broken Pieces. It was just
Mhm.
a story that I wanted to write. And as I started writing, the words started describing me. And the
Ooh.
more I wrote, the more descriptive it got, the more I realized that I was talking about me. I didn't like that.
Wow.
It was like I was looking in a mirror and I did not like what I was seeing. And I tossed that to the side. It got
Mhm.
tossed to the side for a long time, for a few years probably. And then when
Wow.
I came across it again and started writing again, and I'm like, all right, I can do this because I felt like I was in a better place. I was in a stronger place. But once again, what's in the mind, what's deep down in the back of your brain starts coming forward. And the more I wrote, the more it hurt. And that's when I started looking at myself like, I am not all right. I'm not
Mm.
okay. This is not okay, and I didn't want to do it. And it became like this repetitive cycle. I wanted to be a writer. I
Yeah.
knew I could write, but the thing that just kept coming out, the thoughts that kept coming out, I didn't want to face it. So it was like one after the other. It was like a cycle. Like I can do this, and then it turns into I don't want to do this, and then it turned to I can't,
Mhm.
and then it turned into I can do. Like it was just this cycle. And then I spoke to you. And out of the like, you had this satellite, like it was
I
this
was
satellite, and you said you should write a book. And I'm looking around like, how you know I'm writing a book? Like, who told you? Who you talking to? Who you know?
Mhm.
And you kind of inspired me to just go ahead and face what I
Mm.
was dealing with. You gave me that push because I already knew that I needed to face it. I already knew that I didn't want to stay broken. I just didn't know how to get out because, after a while, you live in something for so long, even though it's not comfortable, it's familiar. And they always say
Yeah.
the devil that you know is better than the devil that you don't know. And I didn't want to meet any more devils. So I stayed broken.
Yeah. Wow.
Um, Writing the book wasn't easy. And I think for anyone, I will say, anyone who's writing a book, especially if that book is about your personal experience, especially if that personal experience was not a joyful experience, it's
Mhm.
not going to be easy. I encourage you to bite them little pieces off, chew them up,
Mhm.
spit them out if you need to, swallow them if you need to, but just get over it. Just keep pushing through and let your story come out. That's what I had to do. And in my
Wow.
book, I include some of the activities that I did for myself. Um,
Mhm.
I guess just to get a better understanding of me, because the more I wrote, the more it looked familiar, and the more I realized I did not know who the heck I was. Like I was like,
Mhm.
wow, this is me, but why is this me? How is this me? This is it. This is not the me that I thought I was, and it wasn't. It wasn't me. This is who I grew into. This is what
Mhm.
domestic violence turned me into, and this is what I allowed myself to grow into.
Yeah.
And it wasn't good. It wasn't nice.
Yeah. Wow. I thank you for sharing that. Now, I have another deep and personal question for you because we understand that you're a clinical mental health counselor. Is that the correct title? Okay.
Yes.
So we understand that's where you are now. But as you're describing where you were while you were on your writing journey, penning this book, two-part question. First part of the question is, did you know you were going to be in the mental health space as far as a advocate, a clinical counselor? Did you know that? Like, so when you were back here, was that like a desire you had to be a clinical mental health counselor? And then the second part of it was, were you in therapy, counseling during this season of your life?
No to both of those questions. So let's address the latter question.
Yes.
Um, Therapy was never a thought for me.
Hmm.
Therapy was not something that I ever thought I needed. It was
Hmm.
never something that was just, even in growing up, I didn't grow up around people who spoke to counselors. I didn't grow up to people, to my knowledge. I didn't grow
Right.
up around people who went to counseling. Black people don't really talk about that, or used to. It's getting better now, I think. It still has a
Yeah.
long way to go, but in a Black household, you either crazy or you ain't got no sense. There
Yeah.
is no such thing as you have a mental health issue. There's no such thing as you're just depressed or you have anxiety or any of the other multitude of things that can possibly be going wrong in your mind. There's no
Yeah.
such thing. There's no discussions on that. And God forbid you bring it up. So,
Hmm.
no, I didn't think about counseling. Did I need counseling?
Yeah.
Absolutely. Would I have benefited from counseling? Maybe not. I may
Mm.
not have because I wasn't ready. I stayed in a
Ooh.
relationship for a very long time, a relationship
Yeah.
that I knew I didn't belong in, but I wasn't ready to leave it. So if I wasn't ready to leave an abusive relationship, I probably would not have been ready to receive help for what was going
Wow.
on mentally for me to leave that relationship.
Wow. That's deep. That's deep right there.
And that's
That's
the
deep.
reality. And that brings me to your first question. That answer also no, because again, what is counseling? What is a mental health counselor? What is the purpose of a mental health counselor? I grew up being afraid of mental health. Like if
Mm.
somebody was acting a little strange, I was afraid of them. I
Yeah.
honestly don't know how I got pushed into mental health because when I went to college, I went for medical administration, I went for health services administration, I went for public health. I dropped
Hmm.
out of public health and went into mental health.
Hmm.
So I was, for whatever reason, I can't even sit here and make up a story about how I got into mental health. I was
Yeah.
just drawn there. And
Wow.
as I went through my courses, I realized that I didn't need to take courses for mental health. I needed a counselor because I'm taking these courses, but I'm taking the courses trying to diagnose me.
Mm. Okay.
Counseling was a lifesaver. Once I did jump in, it was a lifesaver. And that was when I was able to say, this mental health thing I could be onto something, because I
Yeah.
know I'm not the only one that has experienced this. I'm not the only one who is trapped, not only trapped in a relationship, but trapped in their own mind, trapped in the fact that they think there are no other options, trapped in the fact that they think they can't do better. So why
Hmm.
not? Why not look at mental health as something more than someone being crazy, but something of somebody needing to be guided, somebody needed to be educated, somebody needing someone with resources that can help them make sense out of what's going on.
Yeah. Wow. I love it. I love it, man. You guys got to get this book. I'm telling you. Lisette, tell us who, in your opinion, this book is for.
Even though the premise around this book is about my experience with a domestically violent relationship, I think this book can help anyone who just feels stuck wherever they are. Because so even if you're stuck in a job, you feel like your boss is abusing you, you feel like that employer is taking advantage of you, and you don't have anywhere to go, but you stay because you know how to do the job. You stay because
Mhm.
you don't have to give no extra thought. You don't have to do any of those things. So you're going to stay. You don't give yourself the benefit
Right.
of the doubt that you
Yeah.
are worthy of going after things that make you happy. You do
Mm.
desire and deserve new experiences. So a lot of the things that are in my book can apply to anything that is abusing you, to anything that you're allowing to abuse you. And that
Mm.
could be a multitude of things. That could be that relationship, again, that employer. That could be your children, like that family. It could be anything. So,
Could be
yes,
yourself. It
it
could be, you could be the culprit abusing you. Yes.
yes, absolutely. So it's for anybody who is feeling beat down, unappreciated, tired, and just sad, because that's what I was. I was just sad every day, all day, sad. There was no happiness. I'm still learning how to smile. We're talking about a little over 20 years of being in a relationship that I was miserable in. And
Mm.
I would smile, but it would never touch my eyes. It would never touch my heart. I'm still learning how to smile and
Yeah.
feel it and enjoy it.
Mm. Man, that's a beautiful, it's a beautiful growth. It's a beautiful evolution. And
Mhm.
to imagine that you were able to pen such powerful words. And at the time, you had no clue you were going to be in the space where you are now. At the time, you did not know anything about counseling and mental health, or you steered away from it. But when I read this book, baby, it was like therapy. It was like counseling, all in and out of it. You got affirmation statements, you've got even little activities. Baby, if this book is not therapy, if this book is not a resource for those with in the mental health practice, I don't know what is. So it's like God knew how he was going to use you. You just had to be obedient. You just had to get into alignment. You had to say yes. And sometimes you just needed a little push every now and just a little gentle nudge done in love to say you can. And it was a part of the calling that you did. And I actually use how we not how we originally connected, but I use how we became a part of the Stronger Through Faith family together, because I remember it. And I don't know if I could go back and screenshot. I don't know if Facebook will allow me to go back into the message section, and I would literally have to scroll back years. But I remember that day. I remember that day when God was just like, and at that time I wasn't, wasn't 100% sure that I had heard from God, but I was growing comfortable with it. And I just got something in my spirit that said, message Lisette. And I was like, I ain't speak to Lisette in a minute. Like, yes, we're Facebook friends, but we're real life friends, but it's just been a minute since we really, connected. And I was obedient. Thank God I was obedient. And I just sent you a text message asking you about your book. And that's when you were like dumbfounded, like, wait, well, hold up a second. Like,
Been
you,
talking to.
how you knew? And of course, I played it off passively, like, I don't know. I just got this feeling. No, now I can say, girl, the Holy Spirit was like, get her right there, get her. And because there was work to be done. And one thing about me as a accountability coach, one thing about me as a book publishing executive, I don't play about your gift. And your story is so powerful. This is why I'm always in your face, because this is so powerful. I don't want the world not to receive this because it's inconvenient, because the timing is not right, because you're timid, because you're dealing with everything else. People need to hear this. So I'm glad you out of school. I'm glad you're feeling good. You're feeling better. You've got your private practice now. Now it's time to really drive it home, because there's so many gems in this book that people really do need to get a copy of this. So for those of you who are watching, the book is available on Amazon. It's called Making Peace with Broken Pieces. Now, you see my little, because there were some sections in here that I wanted to highlight and to have a discussion with you as we're going through this Write Her series. So in one part of the book, you used a quote. You used a quote, and this is actually a quote from Thomas Edison. And here's the quote: I haven't failed. I've just found 10,000 ways that don't work. Explain to us what this would mean this day and age. What would you say is the meaning behind this now? So I want the new found version of Lisette to show up and explain, what does that mean?
It really has not changed in meaning, because we're still growing. Everything is changing. The world today is not the world that we grew up in when we were little.
True.
But we're still innovators. We're still creators. And everything we try, whatever we touch, there's no guarantee that the way we touch it is going to work. Does that mean you give up on it? No. That means you try something else. There's so many ways to get to what you want your life to be, what you want that job to be, what you want your accomplishments to be. But sometimes it's not going to be straightforward. Like, you may have to go over a hill and under a bridge, and you got to work at it. You have to be willing to try. You got to be willing to walk off the path and find a new route back onto it. So I don't think what that quote meant to me when I first wrote it is any different than today. I will say that I have a lot more on the table, and I can now see what I'm capable of, to know that I have a lot of work to do, and I have to be willing to work at it in order to make it happen.
I love it. So we're having this discussion, we're having this conversation about the book, Making Peace with Broken Pieces. The book that you said are specifically for individuals who are feeling stuck. Even though it's a story about domestic violence and how you journeyed your way through, it really is about the feeling of being stuck. And one of the things that I know that keeps people stuck, it's their mind. It's the way they visualize. It's the way they view the world, the way they view themselves. And I love this statement because it says, I haven't failed. That's a mindset shift, Because the way we normally see things in society, we think about failure. Oh, I failed the test. Oh, I failed this. Like you didn't get the job. Oh, I failed. No, what if it's not failure? What if it's the steps that you needed to take to get you to the place that you were designed to go?
It's experience. People don't look at things that go wrong as experience. If you don't experience it wrong, how are you going to know when it's right?
Yeah,
It's an
yeah.
experience. It's an experience. If you experience something and you don't really like it, you're going to know when you experience it in a different way and it feels good. Like you
Hmm.
have to be able to miss something in order to know what it is that you're missing.
Hmm.
You have to miss it. You got to experience it and know that this is not it. There has to be something else. There's something missing.
Hmm. So it's all in your mind. Now I got another quote, and it's been a minute, and I'll be honest, it's been a minute since I actually read this book, looked through this book. I have, and funny enough, when I do my speaking engagements, when I'm asked to speak in different places, funny enough, I've been actually traveling with you all's book. So I have my author's books with my books, and I have them situated on the table. No, they're not for sale because they're mine. Can't have my book, but you can't have my copy. You can get your copy on Amazon. But I like to show people a variation because it's like, I don't want you just to take my word for it. Here are some individuals who, at Stronger Through Faith Media, we've actually made the process easy. And I loved how you started the conversation off when we were talking about your own journey. You was like, this was hard. This was hard. It was something, it was going deep into a place that some days you weren't fully committed to going, but you still pressed your way through. So I love having your testimony with me as an example. And it really does set the stage. But as I was thumbing through your book once again, I realized that we had put in so many affirmation statements. Girl, this is what people is all about nowadays. Everybody wants a good affirmation statement, and this book is filled with them. And there were so many good ones, and there was one in particular that I had to pull. I had to pull this one. We had to discuss it now. And this one says, and they're affirmative statements. So I love how you called it affirmative statements. And so this one goes, I am who I am, and who I am is enough. My beauty and intelligence will only intimidate a lower life form of which I will never be obligated to appease. Girl! Listen, if that don't light the fire under somebody, oh my goodness, what would you say about that power statement?
Girl, there are some people watching this right now who don't even want to look in the mirror because they ugly. Because somebody done
Mm,
told them they're not beautiful. Because society done said you're too fat, you're too dark, you're too skinny. You're gonna always be too much of something to somebody, but you're never gonna be too much of anything to yourself. And it's so
mm,
important that you understand that the only person you really need to please and be happy with is yourself. I
yes.
always give an example to people when I speak to them, and I say, if you have, and I used to use the word eggs, but I think we've graduated from eggs and we're pearls now. We don't went through all
Yes.
the pressure. We are now pearls. If you
Yes.
take your pearls and you put them in somebody else's hand, and you put them in the palm of their hand, you take your happiness, you take your love, you take whatever you have that is the most valuable to you, and you put it in the palm of somebody else's hand, and they close their hand and they walk away. What are you left with?
Mm-hmm.
You're left with nothing. You're left with a shell of yourself because you have entrusted everything that is valuable to you in someone else's hand, and they walked away with it. They don't care about it. No one is going to care about it, and no one should care about it more than you because it's
Yeah.
yours. It's
Mm,
yours.
mm,
Don't let these lower life forms tell you anything less about yourself that you know to not be true. You can look in the mirror and know that you're beautiful. Sometimes you want to hold your phone, you doing selfies and you holding your phone at these angles. You know you're beautiful. Don't let society, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, or whatever it's called now, don't let these websites and these apps tell you that you are not worthy, that you are less than, that you are ugly, that you are broke. You
Mm.
might be broke, but if your bills are paid, if your rent is paid, your mortgage is paid, your car,
You're doing
you are
better than you think. Yes.
exactly. You are wealthier than
Yeah.
you can imagine. You are wealthier than you can imagine.
You know, Lizette, your book reminds me a lot of, and I'm going to say this because I think the audience would be able to understand. Not to say that it's the same, but it's almost like that semblance between the color purple. That's what it's, if you think deeply about like the root meaning and the root cause. We had my brother Lee Hodge on here the last week, and we were talking about going deeper, where society only looks at things from the surface. So when you read the book The Color Purple, when you watch the movie The Color Purple, many people will stay at the surface. So they see the characters, they see the actors, right? And I think a lot of which, especially now with the remake, a lot you see the actors. So you find yourself, the actors themselves become under scrutiny. But what you don't understand is what it took to then transform into this character that was really, honestly, and truly dealing with self-esteem issues. And like you were just saying, Lisette, about if you take your pearls and you put it into someone else's hands, some people don't even realize and recognize that they are a pearl.
Mhm.
Right? So they don't know when somebody is taking from them. Right? So I feel as though this book really does go deep. So that's what Lee and I were talking about. We were talking about going past the surface and really going to a deeper level. And that is what this book really does do. It goes into a deeper level. Yes, it tells the story, it tells your side of the story. But if you read it just to see what Lisette was doing back in the days, then you're going to totally miss it. It's not going to be as beneficial as it could. So I want everybody, when they go to Amazon and they're putting this into their cart and they're buying this book, get another one for your friend, your sister girl, your bestie, right? Somebody that you know that you can take this journey with. And I don't want you to stay at the surface saying, this is what happened to Lisette. I want you to internalize it and say, am I experiencing something similar in my life, in my own way, shape, or form? And I would even go as far as, without saying words to anyone, if you're reading this and you feel that this book would be beneficial to someone else, right? Someone who's stuck, been thinking the same way, in and out of the same type of situations that always end up the same way, just get this book, real subliminal, like, just like, here you go, and let me read it, because it really will help you find breakthrough. It really will you'll find breakthrough with this book. And Lisette, before we let you go, I want to tag in, because we did start this conversation and we didn't go as deep as I actually would like. Let's talk about the term, and we hear people, and I hear people say this a lot, because it is for me. Writing is my therapy. Writing is my therapy. But one thing people do not realize is that therapy is not always easy, right? You don't always feel all warm and fuzzy after a therapy session. Sometimes you feel like you've been drugged by a Mack truck, right?
Mhm.
So let's talk about a little bit more about writing as therapy. What type of support, what type of resources would you suggest someone who wants to become a writer, but what they want to write about is a tough ordeal to share? What advice would you give them?
come from a place where sometimes you just need to do it. You just need to start. You need somewhere to get started. And sometimes that happens in the dark. People,
Mm,
a lot of people think that what they do, and it's ironic because a lot of people think that what they do has to be seen. And then you have those people who do things that they know are going to be seen, but they don't want to be seen. Neither one of those things are really true. You can write, you can journal, you can do all these little things to start getting your thoughts out. It doesn't have to look perfect. It just needs to get written. You can always go back and make changes. You can always go back and say, well, I don't think I want this here, or maybe I need to expand on this. You can do
mm,
all of that. I wouldn't say start out trying to be perfect because you think somebody's going to see it. If you're writing a book, yes, eventually somebody is going to see it. But right now, we just need to get the words on paper.
yeah.
You may need to have an accountability partner. I needed Sheniqua. Because it was hard. There were so many times where I tossed that pen and paper because I didn't want to see myself in black and white. I wanted to continue
Mhm.
to live in this imaginary mind of mine that said that I was okay when in reality I wasn't. So you might
Right.
need an accountability partner. Depending on the things that you're going to write about, you might need a therapist if you don't already have one. You might need
Mhm.
someone to help you get your thoughts together, to make it make sense so that it's softer for you to write. It's like stool softener. You're gonna pass it. You're gonna
Mhm.
let it out. You might
Yeah.
need somebody to help you do that. And I encourage everybody to get that accountability partner. Find somebody that you trust. Find somebody that you can talk to that's not going to look at you judgmentally, that's not going to tell you the things that you want to hear. That's not going to say, oh, you can't do that, or you shouldn't do that, or there's too many
Mhm.
books out there. There's never too many books. There's never too
That's
much money. There's never too
right.
much money. So why would there be too much books?
Yeah.
You just need that support.
Yeah. I like that. I'm being real, real selfish right now because I have you here. What would you say to someone about walking in their truth, right? Because we understand there's two sides. Well, they said there's three sides to a story. It's
Mhm,
it's your take, it's their take, and then it's the actual truth. What
mhm.
would you say? What kind of words of encouragement? And I know we're on the Black girl write her and not the Black girl encourage her, but I have to take the opportunity. What type of encouragement would you give to someone in standing in their truth?
It is what it is. It's if something has already happened to you, you can't change the fact that it's happened. Did you learn from it? Did you grow from it? Do you want to learn from it? Do you want to grow from it? Like you can't erase the past. As much as I
Yeah.
wish I could erase everything that I did, everything. And I will say, my book is not male bashing. Even though I was in an
Mhm.
abusive relationship, there is not one thing in that book that says that I was a perfect person. I know I wasn't a perfect person. And it took a lot for me to recognize, realize, and acknowledge that I was not a perfect person. Did I deserve to go through any of that? No.
Right.
But at the same time, like you said, Shaniqua, there's that side, there's his side, her side, and the truth. He has his own side. And then there's
Mhm.
the sides that combine that form the truth. I'm not bashing anybody. I don't know what could have gone on in his life that made him the way he was. But I know that for me, I was not perfect. And I had to acknowledge, I had to walk in my truth and say, I'm not perfect, but I'm worthy. You have to accept yourself, even when you are not at your best. You have
Mm.
to accept yourself. You have to love yourself. And you have to stand. There's this new term now, stand on business. You're going to have to stand on that business. You're going to have to stand on the fact that you're not perfect, but you can perfect a bad situation. You can't perfect an outcome and
Mm.
stand on that.
I love it. I love it. Oh, good stuff. Good stuff. All right, Melizette, we're going to get ready to let you go. But before we do, talk to the viewers. Talk to those people who have yet to get a copy of this amazing book. What would you say to them to ignite something in them to get it?
Man, if y'all don't go get that book, no, I'm just kidding. Um,
I like it like that too.
like,
Yes, yes,
go get the
yes.
book. No, you know what? Some people are just not ready. And I will just say, wherever you are in life, whether or not you're actually happy, you're pretending to be happy, you kind of think you're happy,
Mhm.
you have to be ready to take next steps, right? You have to be ready. And sometimes it's easier when you can start and when it's baby steps. Baby steps for me was a book. Baby steps for me. Sometimes books can help you ease into your imagination, and the imagination opens up doors for possibility. And a lot of the times when you're in bad situations, you need to see good possibilities. Like, you need to know that it exists, it can happen. Why not? I don't mind making I made myself public to be an example of as somebody who did something different. After experiencing something for over 20 years, I decided to do something different. I decided to believe in myself and believe in everything that, people say, oh, you're smart. And I'm like, I'm stupid. How can I be smart? And I'm here and I'm in this predicament. There's no way that I'm smart. But I was smart. I was just not, I was in disbelief. Sometimes
Mm.
you need to take the small steps. Take that small step. Read a book. The book is not going to talk back to you. I think a lot of people are afraid of what somebody is going to say to them. I promise you, my book is not going to talk back to you. But if you do get the copy that talks back to you, you can reach out to me on my website and we could further discuss what that book said to you.
Yes, yes,
And
I love that.
that's all I
I
got.
love it. I love it. I love it. Like, you can't look, that summed it up so bad. Listen, because you know what? In all honesty, sometimes when you do read something really good, like it can start speaking, but when it starts talking to you and you start deep diving and you don't know where to go, just make certain that you reach right back to Lisette. You go right back to the manufacturer, like, honey, what I heard in here. And I
Mhm.
promise you, the Broken Crayon Initiative will be able to support you through your book talking experience. I love it. I love that. Listen, in all seriousness, Lisette and I, we've got a beautiful relationship, spanning back from elementary school. So I love being around her. But I'm not jiving you with this book. I promise you, this is a good resource. It is a great read. And it will give you the strength and the power, because it is time that you take some of those broken pieces that you've been struggling with, and you find your peace. So make certain, the in the description box you're going to have the link. Make it clickable. You're just going to be able to click on it, and those of you who are on my mailing list, you're going to get the link sent to your email, and you're going to be able to click. And I want you to go purchase this book. It's on Amazon. You can get it in 2 days if you have Prime, and it's available to you. Help is available to you. So we want to make certain that you know that it is here for you. Lisette, any parting words?
Thank you for having me. Um, am I emotional right now? I feel good.
Mm,
I'm happy that this word is getting out because I know there's somebody out there that needs to hear this. And they're afraid of making first steps. They don't even know what first steps look like.
mhm.
First steps don't have to be big. They just have to, it just has to be movement.
Yeah,
I know a lot of you do have a lot of things in your Amazon cart. Drop that book in there. You're not going to know any different amongst the other things that you already got in there. Put the book in there
exactly.
when it comes, read it. But I'm just happy that this is getting out and that people know they're not the only ones. I felt for a long time, I felt like I was the only one going through an experience that was horrible. And that's just not the truth.
I just love it. I love it. Oh, before we do let you go, please talk to us a little bit about the Broken Crayon Initiative and what type of services you're providing, because I don't want anybody to miss that opportunity to connect with you and get those resources as well.
Yeah. So Broken Crayon Initiative is based out of North Carolina. I provide counseling services and assessments to men, women, children. I will say tweens. So if you're in North Carolina and you have a tween from 12 and up, I can definitely help break down some of the communication barriers. My sweet spot, I will say, is self-esteem, low self-confidence. Like, that's my sweet spot, because we don't got time for people to tell us that we ain't what we are. But I can also help you with depression, with anxiety, your mood disorders. We can go through that. I will say that counseling with me is very straightforward, straight to the point. It's not you laying on a couch, and it's not what you see on TV. I don't believe in that. We're going to talk the way you talk. And if I don't understand what you're saying, I know how to ask for clarification. So you don't have to feel like you have to find the words for me to understand. That's not why you come to me. You come so that we can work it out together. So yes, self-esteem, definitely come see me, especially if you have those teen girls who are crazy about them little boys. Send them my way. Man, listen, we don't have time to be in a space where we're not appreciated.
Yes. Yes, I love it. I love it. Lisette, thank you so much for your time. Thank you for trusting Stronger Through Faith Media with your book, baby. We look forward to these other projects. These
Yes,
other
ma'am.
projects you got coming up. We're looking forward to those. We're going to be waiting with bated breath.
She is secretly cracking her whip, y'all. Don't let her fool
Yes.
you. She's cracking that whip. But yes, there are 2 projects coming up. Yes.
I love it. I love it. And I can't wait for the world to see what you have in store. Lisette, hang out for just a second. Let me give the people their marching orders. Listen, y'all, it just get gooder and gooder, right? It was good, good, good. Such an amazing, empowering conversation. I'm excited to be able to present such amazing authors, or I should say, writers, right, to you all. I hope that by getting in tune and hearing a bit about their stories, one, it will also encourage you to purchase and give it as a gift. But also, if it's the writing journey is someplace that you would like to go, you know that you have the support. Stronger Through Faith Media is here. We'll have the information in the description box, because we don't want anybody saying they did not know, right? Hashtag no excuses. So until next week, you all be blessed. And I will see you again for the next episode of the Black Girl Write Her series. God bless.